All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rachaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity, while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a morning lesson. Excuse me if my screen act up. It's raining outside and there's water on my screen. But today, the Spirit is on me to do this lesson. So I am going to go ahead and do it. This lesson is going to be about how there is no such thing as free will. And this lesson pretty much cuts the mindset of people get up and do whatever they want to do when they don't. Okay? All of these previous adversaries that were stirred up against us in the Old Testament, guess what? The Lord did it. So what I would like to do is start off with the book of Exodus, chapter 35, verse 21. Okay, to show you that it is the Lord who stir up people's minds or put it into people's minds to do particular things. Exodus 35, verse 21. And they came, everyone whose mind stirred him up, and whom his spirit made willing, and they brought the Lord's offerings to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, and for all his service, and for the holy garments. Okay. And the reason why they did that was because the Lord stirred up their minds to do it. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay. First King chapter 11, verse 14. This is what particular scriptures I'm looking for. Okay. First Kings 11, verse 14. And the Lord stirred up an adversary against Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. Okay. So the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon. So, the ruler he'll wake up one day and he'll be like, I suddenly have an idea. I say we all take a stand and revolt against King Solomon from under his rule. And I say we succeed in doing it. Now, I'm not saying that's what actually happened, but you see, in this Edomite's head, he thinks that he's the one who woke up and just decided he was going to rebel against Solomon. Okay? And that simply is not the case. Okay? The Heavenly Father stirred this guy up by basically putting it in his mind to be an enemy or an adversary under King Solomon. And the reason why that is because when you read further up in the book of First Kings, the 11th chapter, you'll find out that King Solomon sinned against the Lord in basically worshiping the idols and the false gods of his women. Because when King Solomon was up in age, his women basically turned away his mind from following the Lord to basically following their customs. So the punishment for that was the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon. But you see, the average Joe would think that, I woke up and I determined that I was going to beat him. I was going to do this. Nah, man. Nah. That's just like Floyd Mayweather, You think Floyd Mayweather wakes up and think that he's just going to, bob weave and that? Nah. The Lord got to put it in your mind to think like that, to move like that, to be in motion like that. Because it's nothing to the Lord to take the boxing spirit out of somebody. As you can see, there was a guy who was once a part of IUIC who took the JAB. And guess what? He said he could no longer feel the presence of the Most High around him. So what does that tell you? Ultimately, the Lord is the one that took that zeal out of him to seek him. Okay? If somebody wake up and say, I'm going to go get vaccinated, blah, 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 the Lord put it in your mind to do that. The Lord wants you to go get, vaccinated. The letter X which is a letter of death, right? The Lord wanted you to go get vaccinated. So your ass can be sent back to the spirit world more sooner than you would have been if you had not take the vaccination. Okay. 1 King 11 verse 23. And Yahweh, via the angels, when you see God right there, God, that's talking about the angels, which is the Alahayim, the powers. Okay. And the Yahweh via the angels, meaning he used the angels to stir him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliadah, which fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zeboah. So the Lord stirred up another adversary. Now, this guy didn't just, wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to go fuck with Solomon. Nah, man. The Lord put it in his mind to do that. Why? Because the Lord was angry with Solomon. Okay? Okay? 1 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 26. And Yahweh via the angels, the power of Israel, stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tilgath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh, and half the tribe of Manasseh. So you had some Manassites that was still left behind over there in Jerusalem. It says, and brought them unto Halah, and Habor, and Hara, and to the river Gozan unto this day. So did Pul wake up one day and decided he was going to take did Pul or Tilgath-Pileser, did they wake up one day and decided they was going to take the 10 tribes, and carry them away captives? Did they decide they was going to do that because they had their own master plan? No, the Lord did it. One, for prophecy's sake, but two, because he was angry with us. Okay? And the Lord knows how to take down any nation, and the best way to take down the nation of Israel is to divide them. And that's what the Lord did, man. The Lord took the 10 tribes. He brought them over here to Samaria, this land is called America today. Okay, but 2,000 years ago, this was known as the land of Samaria. The 10 tribes were brought over here. Okay, as captives, even though, you know, our people broke free from being captives, and ultimately they pretty much conquered their captives, and basically they started migrating to this land. You know, the 10 tribes, which ultimately is Manasseh, which will be the Cubans today, Zebulon, which will be the Guatemalans and Panamanians, who ultimately ended up dwelling down there in South America. Okay, Guatemalans and Panamanians. You know, the Seminole Indians from the tribe of Reuben. You know, the so-called North American Indians from the tribe of Gad. Okay, Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. They ended up dwelling in India, the southern regions of Samaria, which would be known as well, I would say the southwestern regions. Issachar ended up dwelling in the southwestern regions of Samaria, which would be known as America today, which would be states like Wisconsin, California, Mexico, which is more of a southern region, southwestern region, not southern but southwestern region, because the Reubenites, which would be the Seminole Indians, they dwelt in the southern regions of America, which would be known as Florida today, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know every state in the southern parts of the U.S., but I know the Seminole Indians dwelt in the southern parts of the U.S. But Issachar, the Mexicans, okay, they dwelt in the southwestern regions of America, which will be Wisconsin, California, South and North Dakota, Mexico. Okay, it was known as Mexico back then, not Mexico, but Mexico. It was known as Mexico. And what else? I can't even name all of them, but you know, the southwestern regions of the U.S. And then, you know, Gad, you know, I believe the Taino Indians, which are the Puerto Ricans, they also, for the most part, dwelt amongst the mid to the southern regions where Reuben was at, the Seminole Indians. Talking about the Taino Indians, which will be the Puerto Ricans of the tribe of Ephraim. They dwelt in like the mid sections to the southernmost regions of the U.S. And then you got Gad, which is the North American Indians. They dwelt in pretty much all of the other major parts of the U.S., the eastern parts, the mid-eastern parts, you know, and so forth. Of course, Manasseh, the Cubans, you know, they ended up dwelling in South America. Okay, the Dominicans of the tribe of Simeon. Okay, again, they dwelt in the South America. Okay, and Naphtali, which are the Argentinians to Chileans, South America. They end up dwelling in the South American regions. Okay, so you know our people, the 10 other tribes, they were brought over here as captives. You know, you also got the tribe of Asher, which are the Colombians to Uruguayans, or if I'm saying that right, Uruguayans, if I'm saying that right. I'm at the look at the tribe chart again, but they ended up, the Colombians, I believe, ended up dwelling in the South American regions too. Okay, so there was a great split, man, which ultimately started with Jeroboam. Okay, because he was given 10 cloths, you know, which represented that the 10 tribes of Israel was going to be separated from the southern kingdom, because the 10 other tribes of Israel will be known as the northern region, but the southern region would be Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, who were predominantly called Jews over there in Jerusalem. So, you know, Pul did not just wake up one day. Tilgath-Pilneser did not just wake up one day and decided that they was just gonna, take a huge portion of Israel and bring them captives over to Samaria to make them slaves. No, the Lord put it in the minds of them to do that. Plus, we also got to remember, okay, in the book of Genesis, I believe Jacob also prophesied to our people concerning, where they will be at, what regions they will be at, and how they would live in these last days. So, in order for, the I can't remember it, but in order for Zebulon, to dwell by like the docks and by the oceans or whatnot, they would have to be over here in South America. Just giving you an example, Okay. Gad, a troop shall overcome, right? Did that not happen over here in Samaria, which is known as America today? Yeah, that happened, man. Who do you think them troops were? Okay, those were your conquistadors. Okay. But anyways, man, the Lord put it in the mind of Pul and Tilgath-Nesser to basically, cause that split, to bring the 10 tribes over here, which predominantly will be Latino tribes for the most part. Moreover, the Lord stirred up against Jeroboam. Okay. 2 Corinthians 21 verse 16. Moreover, when you see the Lord in all caps, that's talking about the Most High, whose name is Yahweh. Moreover, Yahweh stirred up against Jeroboam the spirit of the Philistines and of the Arabians, which will be Ishmael today, the Arabians, that were near the Ethiopians. Okay. So the Lord stirred up against Jeroboam. Okay. I'm sorry, I said Jeroboam. Jehoram. The Lord stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines and the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians. So did these Philistines just wake up one day and decided they was going to just come up against Jehoram because of everything Israel did to them before in the past? Did the Arabians think that did they wake up one day and just say, you know what? Let's go up to the land of Israel. Let's see what's really good with these dudes. Nah, man. The Lord put it in their minds to do that. Okay? Because like it tells you in the book of Job, is it Job, the 33rd chapter? I believe it is. Okay? When deep sleep falleth upon man and slumberings upon the bed, then the Lord openeth their ears and sealeth their instructions. Okay? So the Lord was the one who stirred up the Philistines and the Arabians against Jehoram. You see? Okay? 2 Chronicles 36 verse 22. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom to put it also in writing, saying. So you see, the Lord stirred up Cyrus, king of Persia. Okay. So let's see. Let's go to 36 verse 22 here. Huh? What the? All right, man. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was Satan. Let's see, I think it's 30. Was it 36? I think it was. Okay. Jeremiah 36 verse 22. Now in the first year of Cyrus king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, to put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth have the Lord God of heaven, Yahweh, of heaven, given me, and he have charged me to build him an house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? Yahweh, his God, be with him, and let him go up. Okay, so that was a beautiful thing that the Lord did, man, because the Lord told Jeremiah to speak it, right? But ultimately, who made Cyrus, basically make this proclamation throughout all his kingdom? Yahweh did. Okay. So once again, the Lord got his prophets out on the highways and hedges, making a proclamation, for ultimately for Israel to return, right? And that Babylon is going to be destroyed, this, that, forth, and the other. But ultimately, who is controlling the movement and the motions of people here on the planet? Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai is. Because the Lord has spoken it, and the Lord is the one who controls the actions of all people. What's the proof of that? The book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? Let's read that in the NLT. Then maybe I'll check it out in the New International Version. Proverbs 20 verse 24. The Lord directs our steps, so why try to understand everything along the way? Okay, and that should really scare you. Okay, the reason why a lot of people die in so-called car accidents is because the Lord directed that person into a car accident. The reason why somebody steals and they get caught is because the Lord wanted that person to be right in the eye of the hidden camera, so they can be caught red-handed. So when they get arrested by the police, the prosecutor can have proof that this person was stealing. Why do you think some people will be on the police chase, but then suddenly the police will lose track of that person and that person is never found again? Because the Lord wanted that person to get away. Okay? The Lord reduced the confidence of the police that was chasing the crook. Like, I don't want to run into any vehicles. I think I'm going to slow down. But the person who's trying to get away, the Lord put a bold spirit on him and be like, fuck it. I'm about to put my foot to the pedal and now the police getting left behind. There's no helicopters up in the sky and the person got away. So the Lord directive steps. If somebody gets kidnapped and come up missing and they don't get found again, the Lord wanted that to happen, man. So if a dog that was your pet for 4 years suddenly decides to get up and growl at you and then starts to bite at you and gnaw your skin off, bite your nose off, your lip off, starts eating away at your face, the Lord made the dog do that. Because the Heavenly Father is in control of all life. Why do you think in the book of Job, the 5th chapter, it says that neither shall you be afraid of the beasts of the field? Who do you think closed the mouths of the lions in the lion's den when Daniel was in the lion's den? Who do you think closed the mouths of the lions? The Lord did. It tells you that. Okay, matter of fact, let's type this in. Let's type in lion. Let's type in lions. I'm sorry. Let me go to no, not my highlights. Yeah, I was taking some notes here in my highlights. Okay, prayers, do no, yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. Let's go to my Bibles and go to KJV, okay? And then let's type in lions, okay? And it should be in the book of Daniels, which should be easy to find because okay. Okay, shall be cast into the den of lions. Okay. Then the king commanded that they brought Daniel and cast him. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. So let's start here at verse 16. The water Yahweh, the water Yahweh. Okay. So then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his place and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel. See, my God hath sent his angel. Okay. And that angel is lowercase. So we know that this angel could not have been Yahweh Shai. Okay. For Yahweh have sent his angel and have shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Okay, so the Lord was the one who shut the mouths of those lions. Okay, and then ultimately, I believe the guys who had Daniel thrown into the lion's den, I believe their asses were thrown into the lion's den, and they were all consumed. So to show you how beautiful the Lord is, man. You ain't about to just throw his prophets into the lion's den and then think you're going to, nah, man. You ain't getting away with that. The Lord had their asses thrown into the lion's den and their asses were eaten. They probably was in there calling on Allah Akbar and all kind of other shit. So see, the Lord controls everything, man. You know, and not even a sparrow falls to the earth unless the Lord sanctions it. So I pray that you were edified. With that, I'm gonna say shalom. It's on to the next one.